Hey everyone, it's the one and only magnificent bird, Beak, speaking to you today. And in today's video, I'm back at it with another Road to Survival video, one of the last on the channel, but nonetheless, we are back with another RTS video. And it's going to be another raiding with me video, and obviously there's not any more tournaments, no more events. You know, they even took the road maps. The road maps are completely gone. This is the first time I'm discovering this, because this is the first time all week I've played the game, even bothered to log in, download it. I mean, you know. But anyway, as I will be using multiple raid cans in raiding, I'm also going to be going over my Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2, Episode 5, to Want Is to Be Able spoiler review in the process. So, I hope all of you are doing good and staying safe out there. And remember, like always, if you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and all that good stuff, as that would be very much appreciated. And I hope all of you are doing good and staying safe. I'm doing pretty good and I'm staying safe, and I do apologize that this video is coming out a little late. I just, I had things going on during the week, and this is the best time I was able to get to this, so here we are. This is probably going to be uploaded on Saturday, more than likely, because it is Friday night right now. I would have had this done and uploaded by Friday, but I was out with my niece and nephew as they were trick-or-treating, so hey, I was just doing stuff. I was busy with life. Plus, like I said, my little 3-year-old niece and nephew were out trick-or-treating. So, I just wanted to get out of the house. But anyway, here we are with the spoiler review. So, I'm about to go into it in a minute. And let me just say, oh boy, Episode 5 has yet another character death. And I gotta be honest, this episode did not go the way I was expecting it to go. It honestly felt like the season finale, but we do have one more episode left to go. And, the character that got killed, I didn't expect this character to get killed before the finale. That's all I'm going to say. For those that aren't caught up, we have yet another character death. So this is where I'm going to go ahead and get into the spoiler review of the video. So if you don't want to know anything, if you want to absolutely know excuse me. So if you absolutely don't want to know anything about Episode 5 and you're not caught up, this is the time to go ahead and click off the video or just mute the video entirely. Or if you're caught up, or if you don't give a damn about spoilers, you can stick around if you would like to. Now, let's go ahead and get into the Walking Dead Daryl Dixon Season 2, Episode 5, To Want Is to Be Able spoiler review. Okay, so the episode, again, I got it broke down in character sections. Like, Daryl and Carol have their own slot. Losang has a slot. Falu has a slot. Anna, y'all remember Anna from the Catacomb nightclub in Season 1? She has she finally makes an appearance in season 2, and she has her own slot. And then, like, Stefan, he reappears, and he has a bigger part in the episode. And then Carol and Ash have their own section. So let's start with Daryl and Carol. So Daryl and Carol's car ends up quitting, working. It stops working. I don't know why I said how I said it, why I said it the way I said it, but anyway, Daryl and Carol's car stops working, so they have to go on foot to where Ash is. So that's Daryl and Carol go to find Ash where he was last at with the plane, but Ash is not there. And Ash, he has booby-trapped the place, and he's fortified it to help hide the plane, right? Which is good on him. And for him to booby-trap the place, thank goodness he thought of doing that, because, you had 3 people try to get in and try to get the plane. And 2 of them are already walkers, but one is there, and he's been impaled like the other 2 people before him, and he is slowly dying. And he explains that they was looking for a plane, and then that's when, like, the guy, he knows he's fucked, he's not getting out of that, so he's like, can you please put me out of my misery? So Daryl puts him out of his misery. And, because, like, if Ash didn't booby-trap that place, like, they would have been gone with that plane, and how they found out about that plane, we'll get into in a little bit. So that's when we find out that, right after that, Ash is in trouble. That's, he's out looking for, I don't know, I guess he's looking for supplies, whatnot, waiting on Carol so long to get back, right? So he has to inevitably, like, look for supplies to survive, and that's when he runs into some walkers, and he gets into into a van, and he tries to get out of the van, but, like, he ends up hitting his head up against the van door, and he concusses himself. So he's stuck in the van, in trouble in the meantime. And then that's when Daryl and Carol, they decide to go, that's when they decide to go to Falu's hideout. Now, I can't remember what the place is called in the first season, but, it's like this place, like, on a rooftop or whatever. But anyway, that's where Daryl and Carol end up going. And sure enough, that's where they find Laurent. And Stefan is also there. That is one thing I forgot to say, that right before Daryl and Carol end up getting to Falu's hideout, Stefan actually ends up stumbling onto Falu's camp, or hideout, whatever you want to call it. And, like, they got their guns pointed at him, and they're like, I mean, they are right to not trust him at first, to be cautious for sure, because he worked with Janae. And they're asking him, like, what the hell are you doing here, pretty much. And Stefan pretty much says that, I don't have nowhere else to go. And he's there to inform that, Lo Sang had been captured by Janae. And, like, Falu's like, yeah, I know, I was there. And, he pretty much tells them that now Lo Sang, that, no, he doesn't actually know that yet. My bad. He actually tells them that he's looking for an American woman, Carol, who helped him. And that's when, like, Laurent is like, are you talking about Carol? Is that who you're looking for? And he kind of, like, he says, yeah. And, like, that's when Laurent tells Falou and all the others that Stefan saved them back in season 1 and let them go. So because of that, while they are still cautious of Stefan, they are trusting of him because of Laurent's good word. So, because Stefan decided he had a guilty conscience and didn't want to kill Laurent back in season 1, Laurent decides to save Stefan here in this situation when they could have easily killed him. But, yeah. Okay, now Daryl and Carol end up going to Falou's hideout, that's where Laurent is and Stefan is as well. They're giving him a bowl of soup or something, and like Daryl's like looking like at Stefan, like looking like what the hell is he doing here? Very cautious and wondering like what's he doing here. He doesn't exactly say it, but like you can see the look on Daryl's face looking over at him, and they're both staring at each other. So, because, remember, Stefan, he believes that Daryl killed his brother when, in fact, Stefan was lied to by that one girl from season 1, whose name I can't remember, but doesn't matter. We haven't seen her since, so she was, like, only in one episode, I think, 1 or 2 episodes. I think so. But anyway, Laurent wants to know where Isabel is, and then that's when Daryl decides to tell Laurent, about what actually happened to Isabel. He pretty much tells her, look, yeah, she died protecting you. And see, I like that intersection. I don't know if that's the right word, but that I like the fact that Daryl is like, hey, I'm gonna be straight up with this person, while Carol, on the other hand, is lying her ass off to get what she wants. So that is an interesting parallel between the two. Now, back in season 1, would Daryl have lied to get his way? I could see that being the case for sure, but like Daryl at this point, he is much different than season 1 Daryl. Definitely much different, and he's willing more so to tell the truth instead of trying to hide stuff like Carol does, which we will get to that. So like Laurent is like, Isabel's with my mother now, and, this is when he kind of is going on about, like, I don't want to go to America, and, because he feels like everybody that he loves dies, and Daryl tries to reassure him and saying, that's not necessarily true, and, like, Daryl ever more so wants Laurent to go to America with him because, essentially, all the people at that church from season 1 died, Sylvie died, Isabel died, so, like, if you think about it, and then his mother died on top of that, and his father, so, like, Laurent, he doesn't have anybody in France. He doesn't have anybody in Paris that is holding him back to stay in Paris. So, like, Daryl, with all those people gone, Daryl feels even more of a responsibility to get Laurent to America, to get him back, to get him to the Commonwealth, because Laurent asks, will things ever be normal? Will we ever be able to go to school with kids again, ride a bike? And, well, coincidentally, Daryl's like, yeah, we have something like that back at home, talking about the Commonwealth and Alexandria, I'm sure, to an extent as well. So, but yet, he's like, I don't want to go, I want to stay here. like, why? You just said, you were just asking, will we ever be able to go to school with kids like normal? Will we be able to ride a bike? Hey, if you leave France behind and get your ass to America, you'll be able to do that stuff. But he's like, kind of like, I don't want to go because, I don't want you to die, Daryl. Well, of course Daryl's not going to die in a spinoff named after him. But anyway, that's besides the point. But Daryl's really like wanting Laurent to go. Yeah, so, that's when Daryl and Carol are asking around for Ash, and Falu's like, I don't know, he's like, it's going to be hard to find your friend, he tells this to both Carol and Daryl, but he's like, yeah, it might be hard to find your friend, but however, there is a place where there is information, and Daryl, like, when Falu's telling this to Daryl knows exactly what place he's talking about. He's talking about that nightclub in the catacombs from season 1 that was ran by Quinn, and then you have Anna that was also there, but now, Anna is now running that nightclub, and, they get there, Daryl and Carol, they end up going to the Catacomb nightclub, which is now run by Anna, who was that singer in the first season, but who ends up turning on Quinn, but it seems like that was more of a power play by her to end up running the nightclub, because that's exactly what happens. Because, like, Anna's surprised to see Daryl, and she's like, Daryl Dixon, I heard you were dead, or whatever, right? And, she pretty much says, look, I run things now, I've loosened up on the rules, because you gotta remember, some of Janae's men, they are at the nightclub, but I mean, Janae is no longer alive, so they are there. Some of Janae's men, they were willing to just go along with Anna's rules very cooperatively, but some of them not so much, because there's one guy that has this, I don't even know what the hell you call it. He's got this, like, leather, sort of like a leather helmet, and there's, like, a chain attached to it serving Anna, Daryl, and Carol drinks, and, like, I'm thinking, what kind of kinks are you up to, Anna, right? Like, but anyway, it's some form of punishment, I guess, for Janae's men that weren't as easily to follow her rules or whatever, right? So, like, they still got, like, the singers and stuff down there, but, like, it doesn't seem like it's as, like, the rules aren't as, like she was saying, like, people like to live, and I've loosened up on a lot of the rules, so there you go. And, surprisingly, Anne, she does help, let's see, Anne does agree to help Daryl and Carol with a vehicle, weapons, and fuel, and you know what? I thought she was going to make it a lot more difficult. I thought they were going to have to run some sort of errand, or perform some kind of task for them throughout the episode, or something like that, but no. And just like, you know what, yeah, I'll help get y'all a vehicle, because they tell her that, we need weapons and a vehicle, and the fuel aspect comes in later, but I figured I would add that now. So yeah, Anne's like, yeah, I'll I'll give you weapons and a vehicle, because they're still looking for their friend. And, you know, they tell Anne that we're looking for another American, and she's like, huh. She's like, you people are everywhere in France. Like, you know, she makes a comment like that. So she agrees to help them with a vehicle and weapons. So Daryl and Carol end up, excuse me, Daryl and Carol end up going back to Janae's place, and the place is completely in ruins, and Anne and her people have ransacked Janae's former place, and she even had her people take the Mona Lisa from Janae's former place, and it's up in the middle of like the nightclub, which is kind of interesting. So now the Mona Lisa is in Anna's place. So Daryl and Carol are looking around Janae's place, and Carol ends up finding this recording where Daryl recorded himself back in season 1 during the first episode, saying that, you know, look, I've been trying to get back home. Hell, I'm even still trying. That's not the whole speech, but like that's part of it. And Daryl, like, sees that Carol found it, but he doesn't really say anything. He's like, hey, I found something. And they end up looking out a window, and that's where they see the walkers that have surrounded the van where Ash was trapped in. So they end up going to the van where Ash is, and they end up getting into the van, and that's where they find Ash, and he's been excuse me, let me get a sip of this drink. Sorry about that. Now, Daryl and Carol get into the van. That's where Ash is knocked out, and they're trapped in there, and you know, that's where Daryl, he's searching the van, and there's a locked crate, and he busted open, and there's some of the super walker serum in a case, and conveniently, and like, you know, Daryl's like, is there any battery to the van left? And, you know, Daryl wants to know just enough to be able to crack a window, and, you know, in all of that, when Daryl and Carol find Ash, you know, Ash looks around when Daryl, he speaks and says something, and like Ash is like wondering, who is this? Like, why are you here with a grown man? You're supposed to be finding your daughter, right? I mean, he doesn't say all that, but I'm just thinking that's probably what he's thinking in his head, but he doesn't say that, right? So they end up cracking a window, and, well, Daryl ends up creating 2 super walkers as he puts 2 of the darts into the gun that was in the case, and he shoots 2 walkers off to the distance, and then they just wait. They just wait it out, and then all of a sudden, all of the walkers that are surrounding the van, they just explode. I don't exactly know how that happened, but like, all you see is a bunch of blood splatter on all of the windows of the van from the outside. You know, they're in the inside in it, and they get out. Well, they're about to get out, but then the 2 super walkers, one of the super walkers smashes his whole face through the van to try to get into them. Carol takes out one, and then the other tries to get after Daryl, but no, I think Daryl takes care of one, and Daryl kills one of the super walkers, and then that's when Carol kills the other, and they get out of the van after that, and that's when all of the walkers that were surrounding the van, I mean, it looks like their heads have come off and they're all on the ground, and like, I don't know if that has something to do with the super walker virus and maybe the effects, like, just, I don't know, that's like, I can't explain that. Like, I guess it has something to do with the super walker virus. Those that weren't affected by the serum, like, they just blew up. I don't know. That's like kind of very strange, but they're not hanging around to find out. They get the hell up out of there, you know what I mean? So they get out of there, and they go back to where the plane is. So they end up going, all three of them end up going back to the plane, where the plane was, and while Ash rests, you know, Daryl's like telling Carol, look, you need to tell him the truth, because like, Carol beforehand tells Daryl that like, you know, I told him that I was looking for my daughter, and he's like, Sophia? And she's like, yeah, I just don't know where it came from. I wanted it to sound genuine, to make it sound believable, because he lost his son. And like, Daryl's even like, yeah, you need to tell him the truth. Like, why didn't you lie about something else? Like, yeah, in a way, Daryl's like telling him that's fucked up what you did, without actually saying that. He's like telling her in a way without saying it. Like, well, why didn't you just lie about something else? So Daryl actually goes back to the Catacomb nightclub to go get fuel. So he ends up making a second trip back to the nightclub. So let's, before we go back to the nightclub, let's go to Lo Sang. Yeah, we haven't gotten to Lo Sang yet. So Lo Sang, J-Girl, and Janae's former people end up going to Falu's hideout looking for Laurent, and that's when Stefan and Laurent are hiding. And before we, let's go to Stefan before we continue with Lo Sang. So Stefan and Laurent are having a conversation, and Stefan tells Laurent the reason that he doesn't like Daryl, and he tells Laurent that, you know, he still believes that Daryl killed his brother, because that's what he believes, right? He still believes that. But Stefan also says that that he had time to think when he was held prisoner and being tortured at Janae's place, and during that time of thinking, he comes to the realization that consuming anger is not the way to go. So even though Stefan truly believes that Daryl killed his brother, he's willing to let bygones be bygones. So I think at this point it's safe to say that Stefan is redeeming himself, which, I mean, to be honest with you, Stefan really didn't do a lot of bad things. Like, there are characters that have done way worse than what Stefan has ever done. Like Negan, for example, he done way worse, and he, in my eyes, definitely redeemed himself. Negan, that is. So Stefan's redemption is like probably a lot easier, because I mean, he didn't really do a whole lot of bad things that we know of. So, because he goes on about, like, you know, while I was thinking about all the people that I lost, that I was unable to save, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna let bygones be bygones with me and Daryl. It's not worth it anymore, even though Daryl didn't kill his brother. But Stefan doesn't know that, but he's just like, the anger, it's just not worth it no more. I'm just gonna let it go. Pretty much. So that's when Lo Sang, J Girl, like that one woman whose name I cannot remember. I know Lo Sang and Laurent said her name earlier in the season, but for the life of me, I cannot think of her name. But anyway, they come to Falu's hideout looking for Laurent, and that's when this Falu's hiding for the moment as well. That's when one of his people said that we sent Laurent with you to the nest. And then that's when J-Girl says, but then the American took him away from us. And that's when she's like, the other girl, she's like, all right, we need to get preparations and split into teams and go out into town to look for Laurent, and they fully know that he's there trying to buy them time. But of course, Lo Sang, he sees that Laurent's Rubik's Cube, is on a table, and Lo Sang, he knows that Laurent is still there by that one little, only if he didn't know, he didn't leave that cube on the table, Lo Sang might have bought that, maybe. But yeah, he's like, telling all of them, like, don't worry about Janae's men. They're brothers and sisters with us. But he says, but the message will be lost without the boy. Like, he's like looking for Laurent, right? Because like Lo Sang, he's off his rocker by this point. So, that's when they are searching. Once the Rubik's Cube is found on the table, they begin searching the place, and Stefan, he's got a shovel ready to knock a bitch out with it. But that's when Falu comes out of hiding and holds one of Lo Sang's men at knife point. And, Lo Sang's like, brother Falu, like, what are you doing? And Falu says, you're not my brother, or whatever. And that's when Lo Sang says that, have you been deluded by Daryl? Like, I need to find the boy. Daryl wants to go back to his people, wants to go back to America, and he wants to take Laurent with him, and he's like, I cannot allow that to happen. He's pretty much yelling, like, I cannot allow that to happen. And without the boy, there is no hope. And he is proof of that, and that's when Falu says that if you need proof of hope, then, you've already lost, or whatever. He says something to that effect, and then that's when Falu's people start clapping and cheering, and like Lo Sang, he's looking around, and you can see on his face he is fuming. The fact that Lo Sang is being outshined by Falu in the moment, it's eating up his ego. He can't take it. And then they just like cut away. So we don't know what happens. Does Lo Sang decide to kill Falu and all of them back at Falu's hideout? I don't know. I mean, he already caused the death of one person. He killed one person. So, does he kill Falu on top of that? Well, we don't know. Because by the time that all that happens, Laurent and Stefan, they end up escaping by the time we end up finding out. So, Daryl ends up going back to the Catacomb nightclub, and that's when he asks for fuel for the airplane the second time, and that's where Laurent and Stefan are at the nightclub the second time around. Because at first, Daryl's like looking for fuel for the airplane, and then that's when Anne says, I have something to show you, and she takes Daryl to Laurent, and like he's like wondering, what are y'all doing here? And Stefan ends up bringing Laurent to the nightclub, and that's when Stefan tells Daryl that Lo Sang came to the safe house looking for Laurent, and as far as we know, according to Stefan and Laurent, that Falou and all of them are safe. But we don't know that for sure. They might be, but who knows? That could be 50-50 because, like, when Falou was upstaging Lo Sang, he was like, it was eating up at his ego that people weren't really necessarily cheering him and praising him and all that crap like they were before. So we don't know. Maybe he took out his frustrations, I don't know, on all of those people. Maybe we'll find out. But so after Daryl finds that Laurent and Stefan are there at the nightclub, that's when that's when Lo Sang and J-Girl and Janae's former people end up going to the Catacombs nightclub looking for Laurent, since they weren't able to find him at Falou's place. They end up going to the nightclub. Now, I'm curious, did Falou or somebody there at Falou's place rat them out? Or did Lo Sang and all of them already know about this place? I kind of wish that would have gotten answered, but unfortunately that doesn't. It seems like maybe they already knew about the place, because by the way that Falou was talking and wanting to protect the boy, it doesn't seem like he would rat him out, right? No, I don't buy that. It seems like Lo Sang and them already knew about the place, so that's definitely very possible. Because, like, Falou says to Lo Sang that, look, Daryl, he just wants to protect the boy. You want to make him a martyr. So, and that's the part that leads up to Lo Sang getting upstaged. That's the part that Lo Sang ends up getting upstaged by Falou. So, I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, maybe next week. Maybe not. I don't know. But as Lo Sang's people enter the nightclub, Anna buys Daryl, Laurent, and Stefan time to get out of there, but only once he's gotten the fuel and stuff. He just happens to get the fuel before they even get there, but they end up escaping through like a painting, or there's a painting covering a hole or whatever. So they end up escaping by Anna buying them time. And so far Anna, I thought she would have given Daryl and them a really difficult time as far as getting weapons, fuel, but no, she hands it over, so, like, very easily. So, like, do I still fully trust Anna? I'm gonna say I don't know. I don't know, but she doesn't really rat them out to Lo Sang. So she's just like casually sitting in a room, and then that's when Lo Sang and them enter. And she's like, "Oh, are you the Hope guy or whatever?" She's like just trying to buy them time, and he's like, "Where are they at?" And she's like, "Poof, in the air." So yeah, she is like, she doesn't rat them out. She buys them time to get out, and they end up finding the painting with the hole. So they end up going through it, following, that's the same way that Daryl, Laurent, and Stefan went, and they are in the catacombs once again. So Daryl and Laurent split up from Stefan, so you have Lo Sang, J Girl. Lo Sang takes a group of 2 with him one way. J Girl takes a group of 2 with her another way. So after Daryl gets Laurent to hide, it's pretty much 3-on-1 for him, but because Lo Sang and his 2 end up going after Daryl, and J Girl and her 2 end up going after Stefan. So that's when Stefan, he's kind of like, I'll just say this now, he's kind of like Batman. Like, just imagine, like say, remember the scene in Batman Begins when Bruce Wayne first becomes Batman at the Falcone shipping yard? And Falcone's men, they're transferring the drugs into boxes and all of that. And, all of a sudden, Batman is just like, he takes out one thug, then he takes out another, and they're like, what? What the hell is that? Like, that's kind of what this scene reminded me of, because they're hearing noises, and then all of a sudden, like, Stefan kind of has a Batman moment where he's just, like, standing right beside one of Janae's former people and just wham, just takes out that person. And that's when J-Girl and the other person hear that, and then that's when the other, the doctor from Janae's former people goes ahead to see what the commotion was while J-Girl's standing behind like a coward. And that's when Stefan jumps up and attacks him, and they're both, the scientist has this shotgun, and they're both grabbing for the shotgun, but of course Stefan overpowers the scientist and kaboom, just blows his head off. Not really, but he points the shotgun at his head and just boom, that's the end of the scientist right there. And then that's when it's Stefan versus J-Girl, and well, they're getting into it, and the fight ends with J-Girl stabbing Stefan in the shoulder because she has a little blade, and she also has a sword, but she pulls out her little blade and stabs Stefan in the shoulder, but he just looks at the blade and slowly pulls it out and looks back at her and drops the blade, and she's like, oh fuck, she's got that look on her face like, oh damn, that didn't put him down. So he comes running at J-Girl, picks her ass up and flings her ass up against the wall. Boom, J-Girl is done. She's not dead. He just knocked her out. He knocked her out for the rest of the episode, and he just goes on. So that's when Daryl takes care of the 2 that are with Lo Sang, and then that's when, he takes care of them off screen. But once Lo Sang realizes that he is truly alone down there, that's when Daryl steps out of the shadow and oh shit, you got Daryl and Lo Sang face to face, and they go at it. They end up going at it. He's got his Daryl's got that ball and chain weapon. I know there's a certain name for it, but they end up fighting. And I'm thinking, okay, this should be easy for Daryl. I mean, he took on fucking Beta, and Beta was like 10 times stronger than Daryl was. He gets the upper hand on Lo Sang at first, and he is beating him. He is beating Lo Sang, but with that stick with the blade attachment, Lo Sang is able to hold up against him, a little bit. He ends up using Daryl's momentum to push Daryl back against this not wall, but it's like this stone archway that's down there. And like Daryl's like, damn, like I can't believe that happened, and Daryl's crawling away. And then, like, Lo Sang, he's stalking on to Daryl, like, I'm gonna go in for the kill. And then that's when Daryl, he sees a skull head, and he picks up that skull, and boom! He bashes Lo Sang in the face with it. And Daryl doesn't let up. He picks up another skull, and he just goes absolutely brutalized. He brutalizes Lo Sang in the face with the skull until Lo Sang is dead. That's right, Lo Sang dies in this episode. Oh man, was it sweet to see Daryl be the one to kill Lo Sang? It absolutely was. But did I expect it to happen before the finale? No. No, I did not, because I was expecting Janae to still be around at this point. Which, I'm very curious to see where they go with the finale, right? Because essentially Janae, who I thought was going to be the main villain of season 2, is dead. And then when they were making Lo Sang a villain, I'm like, okay, he's probably just gonna die at the finale, right? No. Daryl just absolutely brutalizes the shit out of him in the catacombs with a skull until he's breathing. Until he's not breathing, I mean to say. Oh man, like holy shit, I was like, oh damn, that's actually the end of Lo Sang? It couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, to be honest. Honestly, like it was great to see Daryl be the one to kill him. Absolutely, but damn, did I expect it this episode? No. And I like that they weren't using the predictable format that The Walking Dead usually does. And, I actually respect them a lot for, like, killing the villain right before the finale. I actually respect them for doing that. I do. I gotta give them a round of applause, absolutely, for them not sticking with the same predictable format of waiting until the finale to kill the villain, right? I actually respect them a lot for doing that. That's probably why I like season 9 of the main show the best, because, like, you have the Pike scene happen right before the finale, and I'm like, oh shit, that should have been like season finale territory, but they do it right before the season finale, so that's a reason that I really like season 9. I think it's like ultimately my favorite season of the main series. And then you have a menacing threat such as the Whisperers, I mean, they kind of downgrade them in season 10, but season 9 is like, ooh, that's where they're at the height of their power, the height of their fright. I don't know if fright's the right word, but that's where they're the most scary, They don't know what the hell they're going up against. So, yeah, Daryl kills Lo Sang right then and there. And so that's when Daryl, Laurent, Stefan, they get out of the catacombs, and Anna, she tells Laurent that, you're welcome back at the nightclub anytime. And after all of that, that's when Stefan and Daryl shake hands, and both of them have just like, you know what, all of this anger, all of this bullshit ain't worth it. You know, are we ever going to be the best of friends? No, but Daryl recognizes the somewhat good in Stefan, the fact that he was able to help Laurent escape from Falu's place when Losang came there and got him to safety. Like, Daryl's like, okay, we're never going to be the best of friends, but like, as far as you helping Laurent out, you're cool in my books now, you know. So I was like, okay, that's actually good, because like, you know, this season kind of like made me feel a little bit bad for Stefan, just because of all of the torture that he went through. Now, could Stefan be a death in the finale? I could see it happen, but no, we're not done. We're not done quite yet, because let's go to Carol and Ash, where Carol finally tells Ash the truth about why they're actually there. So we get back to Carol and Ash, where you know, Ash is just assuming at first that you know, your daughter, she didn't make it, did she? And like, Carol at first, she's like, no, she didn't. And he's like, you know, I'm sorry that, you know, but kind of like, he says like, would you expect, you know, you just never know what to expect her halfway around the world. And, you know, Carol is crying, and you can see that, and she is doing a great job of, you know, the crying act in here. Not as good as Rick Grimes, but it's convincing enough for this scene. And like, she's not crying because Ash thinks, you know, Sophia died in Paris. No. The guilt of her lies is starting to eat up at her at this point, and you can see it on her face. And she's like, eventually, like, I gotta eventually tell him, like, and she actually does. She says that, you know, she says that Sophia was never in France. I needed you to help me find Daryl, that Sophia died 12 years ago. And he says, like, wait, what do you mean? Like, yeah, she says that, yeah, Sophia was never here in Paris. I manipulated you into getting you to, you know, to make me. I manipulated you into taking me here to look for Daryl. And of course, I mean, Ash, he is fucking pissed. Understandably so, because he gave up his life. He gave up his home based on a lie. And, I mean, come on. You know, I feel bad for Ash in that aspect, because he was lied to, and he's like, it's not just the fact that you lied to me, it's the fact about the lie itself, that you would use your dead daughter in order to manipulate me. He's like, that's fucked up. I mean, he doesn't say that's fucked up, but I mean, it is fucked up. Like, you know, it does blow up in Carol's face, but like, not to the extent where he stays mad for long, because Daryl and Laurent, they get back to where Ash and Carol are at, and Daryl asks Carol, you know, how did it go? And she said not good. And that's when the revelation, which, I mean, it's to no surprise, the revelation that, like, Ash comes around the corner and asks, now, who is this? Not only did you lie about your daughter, you have a grown-ass man with you. Now you have a little boy instead of a daughter? Like, what the hell is going on, you know? So, that's when Laurent, like, introduces himself to Ash. And I mean, Ash, he can't be but so mad. I mean, he had his moment to be pissed off at Carol, so he's not gonna forget it, but, like, no use staying mad because he breaks the news to them that, even though we have the fuel that we need to get home, there's a small problem. This plane is not gonna fit 4 of us, and that's how the episode ends. So it seems like J-Girl is probably gonna be the main villain of the season finale. So let me just make some death predictions for the finale. I think J-Girl is going to end up dying along with some of Janae's people. And at this rate, I wouldn't be shocked if Stefan ends up sacrificing himself somehow. So, I mean, I could be totally wrong on that, but I mean, at this rate, you had Sylvie die, you had Isabel die, Janae die, Lo Sang die. So, I could very much see J-Girl die. I could see Stefan end up getting killed. Maybe even Anna. Who knows? Who knows, right? At this point, because I don't see Daryl or Carol dying, no. I don't see Laurent dying, or even Ash. So, I could see there being a situation where Ash ends up taking Laurent on the plane, just the 2 of them, to ensure that they can get back to America, thus leaving Daryl and Carol behind. I could see that being a very strong possibility, because, like, Ash says that, look, all 4 of us are not going to fit on this airplane. There's no way it's going to take off with all 4 of us on the plane, right? So, I could see the finale going down something like this. Ash, Daryl, and Carol agree that Daryl and Carol will stay behind, even if it means getting Laurent safely out of Paris, back to the Commonwealth. I could see that happen. And as far as death predictions, I'm going to go with J-Girl somehow dying. I'm going to go with Stefan somehow sacrificing himself. And Anna is a maybe on there. You don't know. Because, like, it seems like they are going to be making a season 3 of this. And what more can they do in Paris, right? I mean, realistically, what else could they do in Paris? I don't know. Maybe they end up moving to a different continent, a different country somehow. I mean, Daryl and Carol, that is. So, we'll see. This finale is definitely, it's going to be interesting to see how this season 2 ends. And do I like episode 4 or 5 better? Ooh, I've had some time to think about this. I actually like episode 5 better. I enjoyed episode 4 for what it was, but, I was expecting episode 5 it's just going to be like a preseason. It's just going to be a setup for a very exciting finale, right? But in a way, season 5, not season 5, excuse me, damn. In a way, episode 5 felt sort of like a finale. In a way. But not really. We are getting the finale coming up this Sunday. And I'll be very curious to see how they end it. So we'll see. I think I liked episode 5 a little bit better than episode 4. Just because it did throw me for a loop. It wasn't predictable like I thought it was going to be. And we had another character death. And I will say this character death was very much deserved in my opinion. So, yeah, I'll be very curious to see where this season finale goes. Like I say, you know, I have a pretty good guess as to what's going to happen, but I don't know anything that's confirmed. I have no idea. So, I think that Daryl and Carol are going to stay behind because they're going to agree to it to make sure that Laurent gets out of Paris, gets out of the country. And I think J-Girl, as far as deaths go, I think J-Girl is going to somehow get killed. I think Stefan could be a very likely death. And I'll say Anna, for somehow I feel like that might happen. And maybe possibly Falou if he's not dead already. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I was like making sure I have internet. I still do. This damn game. No wonder why it's shutting down. I mean, my God. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm gonna go ahead and stop raiding. I just kind of want to look at, my God. Let me see. Let me look at faction chat. Yeah, the road maps are gone. Yeah, I just discovered that myself. Okay, so my faction, it seems like Rosebud has already been looking into No Man's Land, which I'm gonna have to look into that and check it out. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys for today. If you are caught up on the Daryl Dixon spinoff, what are your thoughts on Season 2, Episode 5? And what episode did you like better, Episode 4 or Episode 5? Me personally, I think I enjoyed Episode 5 just a little bit more, just because the unpredictability about it, which I like when they do that every once in a while, when they throw you for a loop. But, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I want to thank each and every one of you for stopping by and for your continued support. And remember, if you liked the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you do all of that good stuff, that'll be very much appreciated by me. And I am Beak. I am Beak. And I'm gonna go fly away back to my nest. Until next time, bye guys.